World Baseball Network Roundtable. I'm your host, Daniel Fox. Today, we're going to be breaking down the 2024 World Series between the American League champion New York Yankees and the National League champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Two of the biggest markets, two of the most storied franchises going to go at it in what should be a great series. We're going to break it all down from who's under the most pressure to our bold predictions to, of course, our winner and MVP. So let's start things off. Who's under the most pressure? Obviously, these are two teams that the Dodgers won in 2020, but two teams looking to break lengthy World Series droughts, fan expectation on them with those huge payroll and star players. So I'll start with Life here, our most experienced resident here, our most experienced analyst. Who do you think is under the most pressure?
By most experienced, I guess you mean I'm the oldest and that I was actually alive when the Yankees won in 1996. I was 16 years old. It's been a long time since the Yankees have been in the World Series. So there is a lot of pressure on them to get the job done this year. The disappointment, I think, still hangs over the club from 2017 when the Yankees lost to the Astros in the ALCS. Now, we know that the Astros had some special sauce in that series that we didn't know about at the time, which kind of taints that championship, I think, for Houston. But, it's been 15 years since the Yankees have been in the World Series. There are a lot of young fans in New York that have never seen the Yankees play in the World Series. Yankee fans expect to win. They show up to the ballpark when the team's winning, and they will boo their team off the field when they play like crap. So really, the pressure is on the Yankees. The Dodgers have done a lot in the past 7 years. They did win the COVID World Series. And let's not discount the 2020 World Series because they played a shortened season. They still had to play 60 games in the regular season. They had to deal with all kinds of adversity from, being isolated to still flying across the dang country to play the road games. I mean, it's not like, granted, they played the whole World Series in one place, but it still counts. It's a World Series and it still counts. So, there is pressure on the Dodgers. They have a huge payroll. They play in the second largest media market in the United States. But, the Yankees are the Yankees for a reason. The fans have expectations. The Steinbrenner family has expectations. The New York media has expectations. And if the Yankees don't live up to those expectations, it's going to be a very hard winter in the Bronx and at the Yankee complex in Tampa, Florida.
Real quick, though, even though you say the Yankees have the most pressure, you said the player with the most individual pressure is Yoshi Yamamoto. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
So Yamamoto came over from Japan last offseason and, very, very well heralded player, signed a contract with the Dodgers in excess of $333 million. Has not been spectacular in the postseason and was, he was good, not great in the regular season for the Dodgers. So, he's got a lot to show. He did pitch decently in the regular season, 90 innings pitched, 18 games. But right now, he's got to justify that contract. And they brought him in here to reach the World Series, if not win the World Series. So he's got to show us something in the World Series, or you're going to start wondering, did the Dodgers just waste more than $333 million over the next 12 years?
Most of our writers agreed with you about the Yankees being under the most pressure, as evident by 6 of our 8 writers saying that Aaron Judge was the player under the most pressure. Brandon, you want to take this one? You were one of the Judge pressure players.
It's no secret Aaron Judge has not had the best postseason. No, he did have that big home run off of Class A, but he's been striking out a lot and just missing pitches. And in the ALCS, besides that home run or the 2 home runs, he wasn't really an X factor. In order to make the lineup that much longer, Judge needs to play the way he played, in the regular season, being that formidable force. He was expanding a lot in the postseason, and When everyone thinks of the Yankees, they think of Judge. And if Judge is hitting extremely well, they're going to have to pitch to Soto. So the X factor, and Judge has the most pressure. I mean, they're finally in the World Series, but he has still not gotten the monkey off his back of having like a dominant series in the postseason. You could call it the curse of the boombox, where, before, the boombox in game 2 of the ALDS in Boston, he was actually performing well, but he has the most pressure because he still hasn't been performing. And if the Yankees want to have a good chance, he needs to perform. So I believe Judge has the most pressure.
Let's move on to our next question, which is X Factor. And I'll take this one. I'll start things off. I went with Jack Flaherty. It's really been a mixed bag, Jekyll and Hyde. He got the start in game 2, gave up a 2-run home run to David Peralta, only lasted 5 innings. Then game 1 against the NLCS against the Mets, fantastic, 7 shutout innings. But then his last start, he allowed 8 runs, got absolutely rocked by the Mets, and most concerning for a guy who, came into the league throwing 95, 96, 97, dropped, had some injury concerns. He was only touching 90, 91, 92, and the Dodgers say that he was sick. Well, okay, he's going to get the start in game 1, and I'm going to be looking to see what his velo is in that first inning. If he comes out, he's throwing 94, 95, closer to where he was in game 1 of the NLCS. I think you got to favor the Dodgers. Remember, this is a team that is going to be going with a bullpen game. So they need Jack Flaherty. That to me is the difference between winning and losing. Pretty much everybody else went with a star player. We got Ohtani on here. We got Soto, Torres. Someone else said Flaherty. Shout out Joe. But I want to go over to Allian. He picked someone who is a platoon player, had a terrible regular season, really hasn't had a good regular season since 2021. That would be Kike Hernandez. Why do you think he is the X factor in this series?
Yeah, I think Kike Hernandez, he's come up big for the Dodgers in spots this postseason. And really, it comes down to more of a chemistry thing. Ever since he's been brought back to LA, I feel like the team just has a different vibe. Like the players love him. Everyone loves to be around him. And that's just off the field. On the field, he's produced for them in the postseason. He's hit big home runs. He's come up with big hits. He's scoring runs. He's playing defense where he's needed. He can fill into multiple spots for him. That's why I think everyone knows about what Ohtani, Betts, Freeman bring to the table for the Dodgers. But a guy like Kike Hernandez, driving those guys in when they get on base, a guy that's playing elite defense when he's asked to in multiple positions, a guy like that can really make a difference in a series.
Let's move on now to key matchup. And we had 3 different people say Ohtani facing 3 different pitchers. So I'll go over to Brandon first. You got Nestor Cortez, who is not on the first 2 series roster. I went with Tim Hill, who I think can give Ohtani some trouble based on his arm slot. But you went with Nestor Cortez, a different left-handed pitcher who's going to be pitching out of the bullpen. Do you expect him to see Ohtani in these, they don't have the left-handed one-out guys anymore because there's a 3-batter minimum. But do you expect Nestor to be on Ohtani duty out of the bullpen?
100%. It's been reported that Nestor most likely is making the roster. He made a comment saying, if he tears his UCL, he doesn't care if he gets a ring. But Nestor has had some success against Ohtani, and coming out of the bullpen, his normal 93, 94 will most likely be up more, probably to 95, 96, which he has touched this year. But I can see Nestor being a huge impact because he's going to be facing that top of the lineup. I think it would be Ohtani, Betts, and then if Freeman plays. And I feel like they're going to do that a bit more than Ohtani because at least Nestor has the different arm slots, the different angles. And I just see that Nestor's going to be that big impact because Tim Hill's been great, but the Dodgers have faced him before in the past when he was on the Padres. And I just feel like Nestor is that big X factor because he just has more pitches and has more success and has faced Ohtani in the past a lot more. And of course has seen Mookie Betts a lot more. So I feel like at the end of the day, with that top of the order, Boone's going to go to Nestor as much as he can.
So we had 3 people say Ohtani, and we've also had 3 people say Cole. Anthony here was the only one who said both. He went with Cole versus Ohtani for the key matchup. Best on best. Anthony, who has the edge in that matchup?
I think that the matchup between Garrett Cole and Shohei Ohtani is going to be the premier matchup in the series. I truly think that Garrett Cole needs to be dominant. He is the best starting pitcher in this series. He needs to be dominant, but it's going to be difficult for him to do so with the offensive juggernaut that the Dodgers lineup is in the World Series. But he's really going to need to show up. And if, in all honesty, I am a Yankee fan, but Shohei may get the best of them. So we'll see. We'll see.
Speaking of Cole, that brings us to our bold predictions. I said that Garrett Cole, he's going to get knocked out in the third inning of Game 1. I haven't liked what I've seen from him this postseason. A lot of bad body language. Had 2 bad starts. 5 runs in 5 innings against the Royals in his first start. Then last start couldn't make it out of the 5th. So I think the Dodgers are going to get to him. That Dodger Stadium's crowd is going to get under his skin, and he's not going to be able to intentionally walk his way out of it like he did or tried to do with Rafael Devers. But enough about Garrett Cole. Let's go to a little bit more bold predictions. I think Alion takes the cake here. He's got Shohei Ohtani. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna let you explain.
Yeah, my bold predictions definitely on the, I guess, bolder side of bold predictions, which is wild to think. My bold prediction is that Shohei Ohtani is going to hit for the cycle in Game 1. I know it's not really something you can predict or even expect from a player, but time and time again, Shohei Ohtani's done things that defy the realm of possibility. And on the biggest stage, the best player in the game, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. Like I said, it's a bold prediction. I'm not expecting it to happen. He has hit for the cycle once in his career. There's only been one postseason cycle, and it was Brock Holt in the ALDS. So I do think, well, I shouldn't say I do think. I wouldn't be surprised if Shohei Ohtani comes through with the first World Series cycle we've ever seen.
Shout out Brock Holt, Red Sox legend. So we got a lot of offense in these predictions, but maybe not as much anybody as much as life. I want you to explain your pick. Said someone's gonna hit 6 home runs. Who do you think? Are you gonna just give that generally, or are you gonna put your stamp down on one player?
I'm not going to say a specific player who I think is going to do it because I think there are at least 3 guys, right? Judge, Soto, Ohtani, that are all capable of hitting 6 home runs in this World Series. Obviously, some things have to fall a certain way for it to happen. You have to have enough. You have to have probably 5-6 games at minimum. I think these 2 teams are fairly well matched, so I'm expecting a 5-7 game World Series. Certainly not expecting a sweep. You do need to have a little bit of weak pitching. That leaves it very possible. And I think, when we talk about pitching in this series, I think the Dodgers have a weaker bullpen and a weaker rotation, and they're going to have to bullpen a game. So I could see Judge and Soto capitalizing on that and being able to hit 6 home runs in the series. At the same time, the Yankee bullpen at times is a little bit shaky. So, and Ohtani is Ohtani. The guy hit 50 some home runs this year, 53 home runs. So like it's very possible. A lot has to happen. It's only happened 3 times previously, right? Reggie Jackson in 1977, Chase Utley in 2009 in the Phillies losing effort, the last time the Yankees won a World Series, and George Springer with the Astros, the aforementioned 2017 World Series. And he had a little help doing that with someone banging on the drum all day, as the song says. So, I don't think the Yankees are stealing signs. I don't think the Dodgers are either, but I think weak pitching depth in this series and a series that goes 6 games, someone could hit 6 home runs. Why not?
Why not, indeed? And that brings us to our final question, which, of course, is winner and MVP. And I'll kick things off. I'm going to go Dodgers in 6. They have home field advantage, which I think it's massive in any series, but I think it's especially massive in this series with the teams so evenly matched. I think they're going to get out to a 2-0 lead on the back of Flaherty and Yamamoto. I think they'll lose 2 out of 3 in New York, especially the bullpen game, and probably the one that Walker Buehler starts. But if it goes back to LA with the Dodgers up 3-2, I really like their chances. And in terms of MVP, the MVP of the World Series, it's not the guys you usually expect. Of course, sometimes it is. It's David Ortiz, it's Yordan Alvarez, but recently we've seen Howie Kendrick, we've seen Steve Pearce, and we've seen Jorge Soler. So I'm going to go in someone with that round. I'm going to go with someone in that realm, and that's Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah, I might upset some Yankee fans with my prediction, but I have the Dodgers winning this series in 5 games. Uh, you can point to a lot of things. Obviously, the Dodgers are great. The Yankees are great too. But I think postseason experience is a big part of this. I think Freeman, Betts, they've been there. The Yankees' biggest stars. I mean, Soto's been there, but Judge hasn't played in a World Series, and not to mention he hasn't had the best postseason as is. I think the pressure matters. A lot of people are going to point to his numbers and Stanton's numbers at Dodger Stadium, but at the same time, I think the atmosphere of a World Series, the pressure of a World Series, not to mention the pressure of playing for the Yankees and playing in the World Series, it's unmatched. I think that's going to have a big effect on things. And on the other hand, I think Shohei Ohtani's kind of built for the moment, right? Like he showed it this postseason. He can get it done. He steps up when it matters. We've already seen Freeman and Betts play in a World Series, win a World Series. So I think all that factors into it. I think the Dodgers lose 1 game this series. I think it'll be a Walker Buehler start, the only loss. But other than that, I see it going the Dodgers' way.
So now we have to give it over to the Yankees fans. We'll start with Brendan. Who do you have winning the World Series, even though we already know?
I have it the Yankees in either 6 or 7. I agree with everyone. I do not see the series going anything less than 6 or 7. The teams are very evenly matched, but I think at the end of the day, the Yankees pitching, preferably the starting pitching, has been at least a little bit better than the Dodgers. We can't forget the Dodgers have given up double-digit runs a couple times this postseason, but I think at the end of the day, the Yankees have the better bullpen, and the series is going to come down to the bullpen. And the bullpen has shown that they're not afraid of anyone. So I think at the end of the day, Yankees are going to win in either 6 or 7 with just the offense it's going to start clicking at the perfect time. Judge is finally going to get going. And I think the Yankees will make the upset, even though because they are considered the underdog, not by much though. But yeah, I have Yankees in 6 or 7 games.
When you say that the Yankees bullpen isn't scared of anyone, it's much easier when you're facing a lineup with Kyle Manzardo batting second than Shohei Ohtani. Just wanted to put that out there. But regardless, Anthony, we'll let you get the last word. Give us your pick for the 2024 World Series.
Yeah, I really I agree with Brandon. I think it's not going to go any less than 6 or 7 games this World Series. However, I do think the Yankees will take it. I think just like Brandon said, I think our pitching staff is stronger than the Dodgers. And I really think that these offenses are pretty comparable. It's a very even matchup in the World Series, and I can definitely see the Yankees outlasting the Dodgers in 7 games. And by the way, just going to throw it out there, my prediction for World Series MVP will probably be Juan Soto. He'll have another clutch moment just like he did in the ALCS, and I can really see him giving the edge to the Yankees in the series.
Well, there you have it. That was the World Baseball Network's 2024 World Series breakdown. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Daniel Fox. Should be a great World Series. Hope you all enjoy, and we'll see you at the next roundtable.